Have you ever heard of a battle where the winner spent less than 1% of what the loser did? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but it happened. This is the story of how a meticulously planned asymmetric strike took down a high-value naval asset, rewriting the rules of modern warfare. Let's set the stage. On one side, we have a state-of-the-art warship, a symbol of national power, bristling with advanced radar, missile defense systems, and a crew of highly trained sailors. This vessel represents a multi-billion-dollar investment, the pinnacle of naval engineering, designed to project power across the globe. It's a floating fortress, seemingly untouchable, a behemoth of steel and technology. On the other side, a force with a fraction of the budget, but an abundance of ingenuity and a deep understanding of their adversaries' weaknesses. They don't have a ship that can go toe-to-toe with this giant. So, they decided not to play by the established rules. Their strategy was a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. The term asymmetric simply means a conflict between two sides with vastly different capabilities and resources. The weaker side avoids direct confrontation and instead exploits the stronger side's vulnerabilities. In this case, the plan wasn't a single massive attack. It was a symphony of deception, precision, and patience. The first phase involved intelligence gathering. For weeks, maybe even months, they studied the warship's patrol patterns, communication frequencies, and the exact capabilities of its defensive systems. They knew when it was most vulnerable, where its radar had blind spots, and how its crew responded to different types of alerts. With this intelligence in hand, they began the rehearsal phase. This wasn't just a tabletop exercise. They used simulators and even full-scale mock-ups to practice every single step of the operation. Pilots, drone operators, and special forces teams rehearsed their roles until their actions were second nature. Every contingency was planned for. What if the weather turns? What if a patrol boat spots them early? Each problem had a pre-planned solution. This level of preparation ensured that when the time came, there would be no hesitation, no wasted movements. Then came the execution. The attack began not with a bang, but with a whisper. Electronic warfare assets started by subtly jamming the warship's long-range sensors, creating a fog of uncertainty. Then a wave of low-cost, expendable drones was launched. These weren't designed to do major damage. Their purpose was purely to distract and overwhelm the ship's defenses. The defensive systems lit up, tracking and firing at dozens of small, cheap targets, exactly as the attackers had predicted. The crew was busy, their attention focused on this swarm of minor threats. While the ship's defenses were occupied, the real threat approached, undetected. From multiple, unexpected directions came a coordinated strike. Low-flying cruise missiles skimming just above the waves to stay below the radar horizon. Unmanned surface vessels packed with explosives racing towards the hull. These weapons, while sophisticated, were a tiny fraction of the cost of the warship itself. They were the scalpel, aimed with surgical precision at the giant's weak points, identified through weeks of intelligence gathering. The first missile hit the engine room, crippling the ship's mobility. Another struck the command bridge, disrupting leadership and communications. The defenders, already swamped by the decoy drones, couldn't react in time to this multi-pronged, precisely timed assault. The aftermath was staggering. A billion-dollar naval asset, a cornerstone of a nation's fleet, was neutralized. It was either sunk or damaged so severely that it was taken out of the fight indefinitely. And the cost to the attackers? Less than 1% of the value of their target. A few $1 million in missiles and drones had effectively defeated a billion-dollar investment. This event sent shockwaves through military circles worldwide. It proved that in the 21st century, the size of your budget doesn't guarantee victory. Creativity, precision, and the willingness to exploit an opponent's weaknesses can level the playing field in dramatic ways. This new era of warfare is less about brute force and more about strategic brilliance. What do you think this means for the future of naval power? Are massive, expensive warships becoming obsolete? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, Make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into strategy and technology. See you next time. Just 6 seconds after the radar strike, at 3 hours 31 minutes and 31 seconds a.m., the second UAV Vidplata approached from the port side at nearly 95 miles per hour, skimming the waterline. With the primary radar offline and optical sensors blinded by dust and debris, alarms in the auxiliary control room detected the contact too late for an effective Pantsir engagement. The FPV feed from Vidplata opened a clear targeting window into the ship as centerline missile bays. Rectangular launch hatches were visible. Thermal signatures indicated at least 2 missiles in pre-launch configuration. Target selection was deliberate. Launch Bay 3 housing a Calibran K already queued for firing. At 3:32 a.m., Vidplata struck. The impact detonated with force, blowing the hatch clear and sending a column of thick black smoke hundreds of feet into the air. The center deck ruptured. Steel plating bent inward, and fragments scythed across the deck as high-velocity projectiles. Automatic fire suppression systems activated immediately, discharging carbon dioxide across multiple compartments to suppress flames and reduce internal temperatures. It was not enough. The launch control module burned out completely. Adjacent electrical bays overheated rapidly, creating the risk of sympathetic secondary explosions in neighboring missile canisters. Critical internal systems were compromised almost instantly. Within minutes, the BINM developed a list of 3 to 5 degrees to starboard, consistent with internal flooding or catastrophic weight redistribution caused by ruptured compartments. Damage control teams initiated emergency procedures sealing valves, shifting surviving systems to manual control, and conducting rapid deck inspections. The ship did not sink, but it no longer mattered. The combined loss of sensors, fire damage, destroyed launch control, and internal system failures rendered the vessel tactically non-operational. Encrypted fleet communications soon reflected the reality of the strike. M-class warship B-38 attacked. Radar damage, Calibra system damage. Requesting assistance and tow back to Teriak. Less than 7 minutes after the dual strike began, the BINM was forced to abandon its assigned position in the Sea of Azov theater. The significance of that removal is rooted in the operational ecology of the region. Semi-enclosed, shallow waters favor small strike platforms like the Bayern ships, capable of operating close to shore while projecting long-range firepower via Calibra missiles. Removing even one such platform immediately reduces cruise missile threat vectors against Ukrainian infrastructure and forces. Hours later, Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate released UAV footage showing both impacts, the radar mass strike, and the follow-on deck explosion. The imagery, cited by outlets including Naval News, Kyiv Post, Business Insider, and the Kyiv Independent, was independently verified by multiple naval analysts. Their assessment was clear. The attack inflicted not only direct kinetic damage, but immediate strategic consequences across the Sea of Azov. The BINM was ordered back to Sevastopol for assessment and repairs, an effort expected to take weeks, depending on the recoverability of its digital and command infrastructure. Placed in broader context, the strike reflects a clear trend. The transcript references earlier Ukrainian drone operations throughout 2024 and 2025, including the disabling of a Sergei Kodov-class patrol boat off Crimea, the sinking of a Caesar Kunikov-class landing ship, and in July 2025, FPV strike launched from the sea against an offshore oil rig repurposed as a radar station. Taken together, these actions illustrate a doctrinal shift from improvised, ad hoc drone attacks to deliberately planned, rehearsed, and synchronized multi-asset operations designed to exploit sensor-blind zones and cost asymmetry. Operational analysis of this strike highlights 3 recurring principles. First, target selection focused on critical node sensors and launch systems, rather than attempting a full hull kill. By blinding the ship and neutralizing its primary offensive capability, mission objectives were achieved without sinking the vessel. Second, defensive redundancy limitations were exposed. The Pantsir S-1 required manual engagement procedures that could not be executed under conditions of command center failure, smoke saturation, and thermal overload. Third, the integration of autonomous navigation with operator-guided FPV control enable precise terminal guidance in congested maritime environments at night. Strategically, the cost-to-effect ratio is stark. Weapons valued at less than 1% of the target as cost removed a high-value asset from operational duty. The psychological impact was equally significant. The strike shattered assumptions of safe rear area anchorage and forced a reassessment of how Russian naval assets are refueled, rearmed, and sheltered. The longer-term implication is doctrinal. FPV drones, when integrated into coordinated maritime strike packages and executed with disciplined timing and accurate targeting data, are no longer a novelty. They represent a persistent asymmetric threat capable of neutralizing high-value vessels operating in semi-enclosed coastal waters.